Breaking news, the Biden administration has shot down a Chinese spy balloon that's been hovering over U.S. airspace. I want to immediately bring in our panel to discuss these breaking developments. We have General Blaine Holt, we have Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, and we have Brigadier General Anthony Tata, retired from the U.S. Army. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us on this breaking story. Colonel Shaffer, I want to begin with you. You actually just messaged me a moment ago saying that this happened over your home. The balloon was last seen hovering over North Carolina.
That's right. So, yeah, ironically, we've been kind of tracking this since it was over Asheville this morning. And literally, I live in eastern North Carolina, right on the inner bank. So this literally, the path came over the house into the Atlantic where this all occurred. So it's ironic, first off, that the Babylon Bee got this the most correct, saying that Joe Biden would indeed shoot it down after it finished its collection mission. So here it is. It's finished its mission, and sure enough, they shot it down. But yeah, I'm literally under the path physically of where the balloon came over this morning, right before they engaged it and shot it down.
So U.S. fighter jets, they have destroyed the Chinese spy balloon. They did that over Myrtle Beach, as you just mentioned there. Right now, it's falling from the sky right now. Then the next step will be to collect the debris from it. Blaine, I want to ask you, what would go into an operation like this from someone in the Air Force? How much planning and strategic needed strategy had to go into to bring this thing down?
Yeah, so this is going to be an answer that's going to be rather glib. You can plan this operation in probably about a half an hour to 45 minutes. We can go up there with our jets and puncture the balloon and let it fall to Earth. Where it's going to get kind of tricky, and I'm sure that they've been planning on this for a couple of days, is the recovery operation to get the sensor package off of it, find out what was powering it, and learn as much as we can about it. You know, if it's in the water, depending upon what the currents look like, what the depth is, it's very heavy, is my understanding. And that's where the trickiness of the operation would come in. And as far as what the Air Force had to do, nope, we're trained to do that. And we just got our orders to shoot that thing down about 4 to 5 days late.
General Tata, we can probably only imagine what Beijing would do if there was a U.S. aircraft flying over their airspace. What do you think their response might be to the U.S., the Biden administration, shooting this balloon down?
Well, my suspicion is that Tony Shaffer was a target all along, and he can probably walk out into his backyard.
I probably agree with that. Yeah.
Well, you know, we don't have to, speculate on what China would do. They had one of our aircraft land, and they detained our pilots and so forth. So the quid pro quo here for bringing this down, and it depends on what the payload is, quite frankly, and how nervous they're going to be. They have to have suspected that we would shoot this down and that we would exploit the payload and do what's called sensitive site exploitation, where we can reverse engineer a lot of what they're trying to do. And we'll see. What I hope is that it's rather transparent and as we gather this up and the information that's collected, to the extent that it's not classified in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I'd like to know, quite frankly, as a former someone who performed the duties of Undersecretary of Defense, exactly what they're tracking on us.
Let me ask you about the risk factor there of how much they would destroy of this surveillance equipment by shooting it down. What happens now? How much of it's going to be able to be recovered?
Well, I think if they just puncture the balloon and it lands in the ocean, then I think it'd be like a black box in an airplane. You'd be able to recover quite a bit of it. I'd turn that over to Tony Shaffer, though, who's the intel genius.
Well, and Tony, I did want to ask you again about maybe new information that you may know on the payload there.
I got some just within the last couple of hours. So yeah, notably, and thank you, Tony, for that intro to that issue. We know that since it came into our airspace, it has not been transmitting. That is to say that whatever it's doing, it is not emitting any signals anywhere, which means that the Chinese knew to not reveal any way they were going to send the data out, at least during the time it was over the United States. And again, to Tony's point, it'll be great. And Blaine's point, I think Blaine had the Air Force, when they engaged it, it just punctured the balloon. It's going to fall down at a reasonably moderate speed. hit the water. It's going to be recoverable, but I think it's going to be very important to figure out why it wasn't transmitting, what exactly, what was it, ELINT, SIGINT, EMINT? Were those the three collection systems on the balloon? Because those things all give you different information. But the bottom line is that it wasn't transmitting, and we want to know we want to know how it was going to send its data back to China.
All right, gentlemen, we're out of time. We appreciate you all being here. General Tony Shaffer, or General Blaine Holt, Tony Shaffer, and Anthony Tata, thank you.